All right. Good evening, everyone. Most of you know my name is Nick Anderson. I am the SOMD staff liaison for softball, and this is the 2016 pre-competition coaches webinar. Our agenda tonight, we'll go through a quick welcome, obviously. We'll cover the competition information. We'll go over the venue maps. While the rules will be included in the slide, there's no new rules of emphasis from previous years, so I will not cover the rules at all. At the end of the webinar, Jim Chin, I saw, is on the call, so we'll give coaches an opportunity at the end of the call to ask any specific rules questions that you may have for Jim to address. Then we'll cover the competition format, transportation, general competition schedule, and Mike, it looks like I forgot to delete this last part, or did you include emergency procedures and rain plan? Because I think we removed that from last year, and I just forgot to delete that title.
No, we did not include that, but yeah,
right.
You can just talk through that if you'd like.
There's no we'll do.
That. Yep.
And then we'll end with some questions and comments. All right, so our competition days this year are June 11th and 12th. The events that we offer, same as always, individual skills, traditional slow pitch, unified slow pitch. Divisions, at least divisions, hopefully game schedule will be out by June 6th. With the divisions, you'll at least know where you're playing. You might not know when exactly you're playing, but you will have the location of where you're playing. We do not know which teams are playing at Cockeysville, which teams are playing at Towson. The only thing I can tell you is generally, if the teams that played at Towson last year will not be playing at Towson again this year. If a team moves the division for whatever reason, there may be a repeat, but we're trying to give everyone equal opportunity to play at Towson. So generally, if your team played at Towson last year, you more than likely will not be at Towson this year, but of course there is some possibility that you might be if you move up or down. The schedules, Saturday, first game will start at 8. We will play probably not up until 5, but in the past we have scheduled out until 5. I don't think that that'll happen this year. We'll have to wait and see. We are bringing the night game back. Again, we do not know who's playing in that game yet. We will contact the coaches that we're interested in when it comes to that. So just everyone be checking your emails and your phones within the next week or so, as you may get a call. I should say next week, as you may get a call or an email from us about that night game. Individual skills will take place on Saturday at Towson University from 10 to 3. And then Sunday, the team competition concludes with an 8 a.m. start and games ending around 3 o'clock. Again, the locations are at the varsity softball field at Towson, the practice field, which is the practice football field, which is where we have held skills, and then Cockeysville Middle School. And then this year, Alan McCulley has taken over for his father and is our competition director. Rick's still the assistant or whatever word you want to use, competition director, but Alan is the head competition director this year. And Jim Chin is returning as our umpire-in-chief. Again, everyone knows this ASA is the national governing body. Those are the rules we go off of, with some minor adjustments in the Special Olympics specific rules. This year we have the same number of teams. We had Harford County add a team. Unfortunately, we lost the team in Allegheny, so we thought we would be up one, but it all worked out to be the same as last year. And currently, it looks like we only have 19 skills athletes registered. So I need to look into that, but that's where our numbers are right now. As everyone knows, athletes can only participate on one team. They can only do one event. Rules committee, as I mentioned, Alan is our competition director. Myself as the staff liaison, Jim Chin, Beverly Funacilli. I probably said that wrong, so Beverly, if you're on, I apologize.
Funicelli.
Funicelli, thank you. And then again this year we are asking for a coach and an athlete. If you served on on the competition rules committee last year, that's perfectly fine. If an athlete on your team was on it last year, that's perfectly fine. You can nominate them again. We would just like people to step up and offer themselves for that role. So if coaches, if you're interested, or if you have an athlete on your team that you think would be good, the athlete should have at least a general knowledge of the rules. A high-level knowledge of the rules would be preferred. So feel free to email me any nominations for those two roles after the webinar tonight. All right, Towson University map. I'm assuming everyone can see my pointer. Is that correct? Those of you who are online? If not, my pointer is at the area that we have softball, but if you look at the bottom left of this map, you'll see softball skills on site, same as we've had the past number of years at Towson. Those locations have not changed. Mike, is there anything on here that you would like to point out that's different, not softball related, that's different from past years? I can't think of anything. I'm sure there's something.
The only thing would be the lodging locations, if it affects anybody, are Tower D, and then we've got Tubman and Towson Run. They're marked with the blue icons and with the looks like a bed inside there. Other than that, and the fact that aquatics is off-site as well this year at Loyola Blakefield. No, I think for this group that pretty much covers everything. Everything else is pretty consistent, and we'll go over in detail with your heads of delegation.
Perfect. Thanks, Mike. Here's an overhead shot of the Towson University setup. Again, this looks like not there. This is definitely not the new stadium, but still shows you the layout. Skills again will occur on the we said practice football field, but I think it's just a general use field directly next to the varsity stadium, and then obviously team competition will be on the varsity stadium or in the varsity stadium. Off-site, Alan or Rick, any changes to this map? I'm assuming not.
The only changes that are on here is the lunch and awards tents are going to be just like we were last year. They're going to actually be at the bottom of the parking lot.
Okay.
So it'll be the same exact setup as last year.
All right. I will update this map then before we send it out. All right. As I mentioned, the rules are here. Coaches, you can read them when the webinar slides go out. I'm not going to cover anything here. At the end, you can feel free. Jim, you are on the call, correct? I saw your name pop up on the actual online webinar part, but you are on the call, correct? Jim Chen? All right. Well, still, coaches, you can ask any questions rules-wise at the end and between Alan, Rick, and myself. We'll be able to cover all of those. Should be
Nick,
able
if I
to.
may interject here for 1 second.
Yep.
The fourth bulletin down, coaches will be required to submit a lineup card 10 minutes prior to the start of each game. That is the one thing that we have found that has kind of struggled on. A lot of times we're having to ask, as you guys are taking the benches and stuff, for your lineup cards. If we could have those in advance, it would definitely help to speed up the process of having each next game start on time.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, so coaches, just please make sure you submit your lineup cards at least 10 minutes prior. If you're there and you're sitting around and waiting for your next game, earlier is better.
Mike, I'm on the call. I just got called off as soon as you asked me.
Yep, no problem, Jim.
Yeah, a quick comment. This is Bob on the lineup card. I agree as well. However, oftentimes the lineup sheets are not available. And I know last year at the Towson site we had to use stationery, which meant you had to make your lineup card out in triplicate. So if we could have the carbon sheets available, that would be very helpful.
I can't promise that we can do NCR paper, but I can promise that we will have enough lineup sheets available. We did have them at Towson last year, Bob, so that's my fault since I was there to not make all the coaches aware that we did have those.
All right, the scoring booth was not aware of it either.
Okay. They were in there. I guess I didn't make them aware of it, so that's my fault, and I apologize for that. We will look into seeing if we can do it on NCR paper. That takes some time, and track and aquatics both have to use that, so I don't know if I'll be able to slide myself in there into the line, but I'll do my best.
Well, just so you know, they're available at Sports Authority and other places just to buy a package.
That's a good point.
Okay.
If we provide our own, is there any reason that anybody wouldn't just take those?
If you have your own lineup cards, no, that's perfectly fine. I mean, if you've already purchased a packet or you
I
have
have
them.
a pack from Dick, so it's easy to just rip out 3 or 4 and hand one to the other team. So.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you want to do, perfectly fine. We will have them on site for coaches who do not want to go out and purchase them, though. A lineup card in some form. Yep. Competition format. Team competition will utilize a round-robin format, followed by a single elimination or round-robin if it's a 2-team division. So Saturday will be round-robin, where we figure out seeding for a single elimination bracket on Sunday. Or if it's a 2-team division, which I believe we only had one last year, then it would be, again, a round-robin format on Sunday.
We're going to try to avoid 2-team divisions, aren't we?
We are going to try to avoid that, which is part of the reason we need it to not rain this upcoming weekend, so we can see all of the teams and figure that out. Should 2 teams be tied following preliminary competition, the tiebreaker scenario to determine seeding is there. It'll be head-to-head competition results, run scored, or run differential, total runs allowed, and then if it's still tied after all of that, it would be a coin flip. The medal round of the competition will conclude on Sunday. Teams will be awarded their medals based on place of finish at that point. Transportation and parking. Mike, is there anything that you particularly want to cover on this? It looks like it's all the same shuttle stops as last year. Shuttles will be running Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Your head of delegation will get a schedule there of the stops. And the stop that matters for people on site, that's lot 20. That'll be the stop for on-site competition. And then obviously there'll be a shuttle. Hey, Mike, where's the shuttle location for those going off-site?
It's touched on the next page, but if you can go back to the map.
Sure can.
Back up there.
Yep.
It has moved. It is that little lot next to the University Union is fenced in for some construction that they've got going on. So
my computer was.
Well, Nick is trying to get to it. There you go.
There you go.
Okay. It is, if you see, it says bus stop for off-campus buses right about in the middle. Here, you got right by where your cursor is. It's right at the end of the University Union parking garage. There's that little, it's sort of a loop of sorts there, and that's where the pickup will be.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike.
Okay. That's also where your aquatics folks are going to be picked up as well, if that matters to anybody, and you'll ride. They'll stop at Loyola Blakefield and then head on out to Cockeysville Middle.
All right. The next slide. Again, as Mike just mentioned, the shuttle stops for Towson Run and the hub in Tubman, is west of the dorms at the parking garage. Multiple buses will run in, so again, if it's crowded, just be patient. There'll be another bus coming. Buses, you can't sit or stand. There you go.
George asked me to, or just wanted to be sure we clarify that. For this group of folks, since the buses going to softball out of Cockeysville would fall into the category of not being able to stand.
Yeah.
It's only those buses that never leave the Towson University campus where they'll allow riders to stand for that short distance. But that would not apply.
Yeah, again, so if the bus is crowded, just make sure you share seats. If you're going off-site, make sure we utilize the space available because, as Mike just said, we cannot stand on the off-site buses. All right. Full master schedule. What is important here? Family hospitality, for those of you who are family members and arrive early on Friday, will be available at the Towson Center from 12:30 to 3:30. That's during the cheerleading competition. So if you arrive early on site, feel free to pop your head into the cheerleading competition at the Towson Center. If you haven't had an opportunity to see that, it is a very unique competition, so definitely something to check out. Dinner is from 4 to 6 in the Susquehanna Dining Hall, same area as it's been many, many years now. The block party is in Lot 20. That is from 5 to 7. There will also be merchandise available for purchase in Lot 20. The merchandise will be open from 5 to 9. Coaches meetings, they're going to be held between 6 and 6:30 in the University Union. The locations are still to be determined. We'll make sure that we get all that information out to you once we know that, once the locations and times have been determined. Staging for Parade of Athletes, 6:30 to 7:15, then opening ceremonies 7:30 to 8:30, and then back out in Lot 20, we'll be doing the torch lighting and then loading the buses, and that will all conclude at around 9:30.
Nick, actually, before you go off that slide, there actually was one question I did want to ask folks here. The coaches meetings on Friday have typically been held at the University Union because that's where dinner is, and we figured it was easy for people to go get dinner and then go to the meeting. We're checking into, I don't know that we have the space to do it, but checking into whether there is meeting space over by where opening ceremonies will be held, and possibly having those coaches meetings over there during the block party as opposed to at the Union. I'm just wondering if that it's really a question of what's the most convenient. So just as a quick poll of the folks here with us, if we were able to find space for these coaches meetings on Friday night, they would probably be at the same time. Would there be any advantage to having them over somewhere in CQ Arena or in that general area?
This is Nancy Schmidt.
Uh-huh.
I would say yes, it is better to have them over by the staging for the athletes just because at least for my team, we're moving our team over, and I end up taking the team over and then trying to run back.
Okay.
This is George Fryman from Anne Arundel. I agree, and it would make life easier for everybody.
Okay. We'll check on that. I know Steve Bennett, who has recently rejoined our staff, is on the call. So, Steve, if you can make a note, and we'll check with the folks at Towson on that. We're going to be asking each of the coaches groups on this. I know we have at least one room. There might be more than one, though, where we could do it. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. Saturday, the 11th, breakfast is from 6 to 8:15. Mike, what shift? What are the shift times again?
You would ask me that.
I would.
Offhand, I do not know. I think it's like 6 to 6:45, and I believe aquatics and softball are slotted for the earlier shifts, or for breakfast, and the later shift for dinner, just because of travel time. That said, that's not binding. Whatever your shift is, if you need to go at a different time, you can do that. Just know there might be a little bit of a wait. We'll have that for the heads of delegations, though, and we'll send it. It'll be in the event guide that'll go out hopefully by the end of this week.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. Then buses for the off-site competition, those start at 7:30. Again, competition starts at 8, runs to about 5. Then you can see throughout the day there is family hospitality and healthy athletes. Healthy athletes will be in the Towson Center. Family hospitality, we're working on getting it on at the on-site softball venue. We did not have it last year, so we're working on that. It will be at the off-site softball venue.
We'll check about the. I think we actually started the buses at 7 last year, and I think I just didn't update this slide.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for. You can jump off the bus and go right to your and start your lineup if you have your cards ready, but that's a pretty tight turnaround there.
There'll also be merchandise for sale at the Towson Center throughout the day, or throughout the evening, I should say. Then dinner, 4 to 6, as Mike mentioned. The shift information and who's and what shift will come out at the HOD webinar. HOD means to comply to anyone. So again, we're having the evening game and home run derby. If your team is selected, or we'd like your team to play in the evening game, we will contact you sometime next week and let you know. Make sure that works for your team. And then answer any questions that you may have as coach once we've determined what teams are happening. Home Run Derby, we're having it again. I will be asking, in this follow-up, I'll ask coaches to submit names for athletes. We're going to generally do it the same way we did last year. We had looked at maybe adding a unified component to it. Unfortunately, after talking to Alan and Rick, we don't think that there's enough time. We had to cut the competition, or the Home Run Derby, a little bit short last year. Cut the rounds down, I should say, because of some trouble with it getting dark. So we will not be able to add the unified component into it, unfortunately, this year. So if you're a coach of a unified team, you can just have one of your unified partners pitch to your athlete if that's what you choose. So you'll get some more information about that in the follow-up in a couple of days. At the same time as the game, there's the dance, and Olympic Park will be open. So we encourage everyone to come to the game, but feel free, if your team would rather go to the dance, you can absolutely do that. All right. Sunday, breakfast is from 6 to 8:15. Again, Mike will talk to your HODs, and they will get the shifts for that. Buses start at 7:30. As Mike mentioned, they might actually start at 7. Information will go to your HODs about that, and they will communicate it to you at that point. Competition will start at 8. Will end sometime around 3. Again, family hospitality will be at the off-site facility and hopefully at the on-site or on-campus facility for softball. All right, open it up. Let's just handle general summer games or softball-related questions first, and then we can do rules questions. So does anyone have any general softball questions, not specifically rules, or summer games-related questions?
I have a transportation question, Nick. This is Bob.
Sure.
And that is, from what Mike said, the bus route is going to go from Towson campus down to Loyola Blakefield and then up to Cockeysville?
Bob, Loyola Blakefield is it's on Charles Street. It's not Loyola University. It is literally right on the way.
Is it?
Yeah, it's actually.
Oh, the high school. Okay, we're on.
Yeah, the high school, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, as you're going up, you go, but right before you get to the Board of Ed complex.
Yeah, I've been there. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right. Any other summer games or general softball questions not rules related? All right. So, Jim, you're still on the call, correct?
Yes.
Any rule-specific questions for Jim?
Yeah, this is George Fryman. Jim, at the Howard County tournament, I was a little surprised that in the coaches meeting you indicated that even in the traditional softball teams that there could be, a team could have 2 EPs. Is that still the case?
Yes.
Because that is different than past years.
That's what they allowed in the National Invitational. So I'm just only what they recommended in the National Invitational.
There was only 1 EP in the Invitational last year.
That's not what I had in my notes.
You had the option of a 10-man or 11-man lineup.
See, that's what I thought. But at Howard County, you know, it was announced that we could do 2 EPs and have a 12-man lineup. And I mean, I welcome that, but I just want to make sure that I don't sit there and make up all my lineup cards ahead of time and then get to states and find out that it's different.
Okay. I'm going to investigate that and get back to you. That's okay?
Yeah, as long as, I mean, I guess we really sort of need to know at Calvert County next week anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make sure that information gets communicated out to the coaches prior to next weekend's competition for those who are attending Calvert County.
I mean, I'm fully in favor of it, so don't get me wrong. I just want to make sure that we don't get in a situation where there's a lot of confusion.
Oh, that was a great question. Thanks, George. And actually, George, thank you for mentioning the coaches meeting at Howard County, because it reminded me that I forgot to again mention that we will be holding our softball coaches meeting on Saturday at the varsity field. I will announce times. I believe last year we did it after the completion of the night game, but prior to the home run derby. Is that correct, or did we do it after the home run derby? Do you remember?
We did it after the home run derby last year.
Okay, so we'll do the same thing this year. We'll have it at Towson, the varsity softball field. We'll do it after the home run derby, and I will do my best when we send a follow-up here to give you the best guess I can of estimated time for that, for those of you who won't be attending that but will just be coming for the coaches meeting.
All right, I have an answer for extra players. For traditional, it is 1, and for the unified, it's 2, but you have to have an athlete in the park.
Perfect. Thank you, Jim. Did
Okay,
everyone?
So that's the way it'll be at Calvert this weekend and at the States.
Yes.
Okay.
Jim, can you clarify what you just said regarding the unified? You said both has to be, or it has to be an athlete and a partner. Can I have it be 2 athletes?
No, it has to be 1 of each.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Jim. Any other rule-specific questions for Jim?
I had a question about the lowest division. I know we talked last at Howard County about the possibility of a 5-run maximum inning rule for the lowest division.
Yes, we haven't decided that yet, but just because of the makeup of the teams that will be in the lowest traditional division, we will probably add some sort of run limit to that. We haven't discussed it. That's actually something we'll probably discuss next week in our call in the FC.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
And this is Bob, Nick. One more question regarding a tie game that goes extra innings. Yep. Typically the rule is you start a runner at second base. Are we doing that?
International tiebreaker, yes.
to make sure everybody's clear on that, okay?
Very good question. Thank you, Bob.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Any other just questions in general? Doesn't have to be about rules that anyone's thought of in the last couple of minutes? Nope. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight on the call. As I mentioned, we will have the divisions, hopefully the schedules as well, but at least the divisions out by next Monday, or excuse me, 2 Mondays. So that would be June 6th, not next Monday. So they'll be out by June 6th. Hopefully at that point we'll have the schedule as well. And you'll get the webinar slides here and then some additional just general information regarding the night game, the home run derby, and the coaches meeting with the follow-up in the next couple of days. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks, Nick.
Good night.
Nick? Hey, Nick?